Here are test categories to consider for your papers in this class. Tests and Measurements, Psychology 7610. The categories to consider include intelligence and cognitive tests, achievement and aptitude, personality tests, behavior tests, adaptive behavior tests, neuropsychological tests, tests for careers and business, tests for autism, depression, preschool tests, and behavior analytic skill assessment. Intelligence and cognitive tests are some of the best known in psychology. These classically are called IQ tests. They can be controversial, and it has been suggested that some intelligence tests have cultural bias. However, they continue to be extremely useful and included in almost every psychological test battery. Achievement and aptitude tests are useful for diagnosing learning disorders and for assessing someone's academic progress. They include tests such as the Woodcock-Johnson and the Wide Range Achievement Test. Personality tests include tests both of psychopathology, such as the MMPI, and tests of normal personality, such as the 16PF. Behavior rating scales can be quite useful for younger children, particularly those at a level where they aren't yet reading fluently. Tests such as the Achenbach CBCL use a parent's report to rate a child on a variety of scales that can be used for diagnosis. Adaptive behavior scales include tests such as the Vineland. These scales measure what someone actually does in their day-to-day life. They're very useful for assessing intellectual disability. It used to be that intelligence testing was enough for diagnosis, but then it was realized that it is also important not just to evaluate IQ, but also to evaluate what a person actually does in their day-to-day routine. Neuropsychological tests include the Luria and the Halstead-Reitan. These tests are often used following brain injury to develop a program of rehabilitation. Career and business tests are useful for career placement and also for career counseling. There are tests that are very useful for suggesting to clients what career they have the aptitudes and interests to succeed in. There are tests specifically for diagnosing autism. Some rely on caretaker report, some rely on clinician observation. Tests such as the Beck Depression Scale are useful for diagnosing severity or diagnosing depression and gauging the severity. Often these tests are used in the course of treatment to help the client gauge progress and to see that they're improving as a result of treatment. Preschool and infant tests can measure development and give early warnings about developmental lags. It should be noted, however, that even though these tests are similar to intelligence tests, early assessments correlate very poorly with later intelligence. These tests include the Bailey and the Mullins. Behavior analytic skill assessment includes tests that are useful for program planning and to track someone's progress throughout a rehabilitation program. So thank you for listening. This should give you a good idea of the wide variety of tests that are available.